we have another one of his collaborators on the phone, a longtime collaborator of Mr. Hughes. I hope this is his line. I believe it is. This is composer Mr. Ira Newborn. Mr. Newborn, are you with us?
I'm with you.
Thank you so much for calling in, sir.
No problem.
Now, you tell me about the first time that you met John Hughes.
Well, I had just finished doing a movie called Into the Night.
Yes.
With Michelle Pfeiffer and Jeff Goldblum.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he was the producer. Could it be? No. Joel Silver, who's a well-known producer. He is a friend of mine from like around 1975. Mm-hmm. He said, you have to meet this guy, and he dragged me over onto the set, and we talked in the middle of shooting.
And what was the connection between the two of you? Because you guys collaborated on many projects, very, very successful projects. What clicked between the two of you?
Well, he was an interesting character. He was sort of an adult kid, which I completely approve of because I'm like that too. I mean, I think, when you get old and your bones start creaking, but your spirit and enthusiasm shouldn't start creaking.
Right.
And he was like that. And I think we were both gleeful, I guess you could put it that way.
Yeah.
We were gleeful about clever jokes and funny things and music that really hit and just, yeah.
Well, it's obvious watching his movies that he kept that child inside of him, or that teenager inside of him. What was the collaboration like in these films, like 16 Candles and Weird Science and Planes, Trains? How did you guys work together? Did he work closely with you?
Both, on and off. In 16 Candles, we were talking a lot because, I mean, I could see it was a guy who was enthusiastic about what he was doing and really loved music, and that made me happy, so I was happy to talk to him. Very often, a composer doesn't want to talk to the director because the director doesn't know anything about music.
Right.
And so it's sheer torture trying to translate and pretend you know what he's talking about, and that even though you think he's a big schmuck, you don't say that. With him, as far as music is concerned, he was tremendously enthusiastic. I remember we went, he said, hey, let's go to the record store. We went to Tower Records on Sunset Boulevard, and he must have bought $1,000 worth of records. They needed a truck to take them home.
I love that record store.
Well, I don't know if it's still there. I think they closed it. But
they didn't? Oh.
But we bought a ton of stuff, and he actually listened to all of it. And then he'd give me tapes of really interesting stuff that I never would have heard and never would have thought about from England and, all kinds of groups that were just under the radar that he thought he could pop into notoriety.
Yeah. And more often than not, he did.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, I've got to tell you, he had really special taste in music. He definitely turned me on to a whole bunch of music that I never would have listened to.
What fascinates me about film composition, we speak to many composers on the show, and I would think that composing the comedy film, which you've done quite a bit of, would be a special challenge.
It is. It's bloody murder. Did you ever hear about that? I don't know who it was. It wasn't Sir John Gielgud, but a famous British actor was in bed dying, and a couple other famous guys like Sir Ralph Richardson or John Gielgud was sitting by his bedside, and he would be talking, and he'd lapse into unconsciousness, and then he would come back, and these guys in between would be looking at him with pity, and finally one of them said, did the other one, when he was in one of these periods of being unconscious, he said, "Oh, dying is so hard." And he opened his eyes and said, "No, comedy is hard. Dying is easy."
Right.
And it's the truth. So, let's put it this way. Comedy, music, writing has come a while away from the time you see cartoons in the 30s and 40s.
Yeah.
In the old days, you could deliberately play the physical action. That's called Mickey Mousing, because
Sure.
that's what they did in Mickey Mouse movies. But as the humor get more serious, or if you pardon the expression, more subtle, there's a lot of different ways to play it. You can imply things. If you have a good sense of humor, you can see aspects of the joke that are not obvious and enhance them. So it is bloody murder, especially if you care about what you're doing. I'm certainly more than a humorous guy, but I used to sit there doing it as seriously as I could, and I would be watching these things over and over and over, trying to get what was happening and how to make it just right and subtle and not too obnoxious unless it called for that. And, it's definitely difficult.
It's a
and
tough
as good
challenge,
as I was
yeah.
at it, I had to keep struggling each time.
Well, I think this correlates with the talent, one of the many talents that John Hughes had, because his movies were very funny, but they were never less than human and relatable. They weren't easy, you know.
I have to agree with that.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I have to agree with that. I'm just telling you, I agree.
When you what was you did so many films with him? What were the experiences that stood out for you?
Experience. Maybe Ferris Bueller. Yeah, because he had hired. You see, being kind of a kid and being very enthusiastic and not really understanding the professional world of movie making, he thought he could do anything. So he didn't know how much time it took to do something and how long it would take someone he hired to do something. So apparently he got this fabulous idea to hire what amounted to a DJ. He got a DJ to do the music for Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And, I thought he liked what I did on 16 Candles. Well, what the heck. So anyway, he hired this guy, and then all of a sudden, after like a couple of weeks and probably using up most of the budget, I get a call from the editor, the film editor, Paul Hirsch, who was a great editor and a great guy. He's really talented. He calls me up and says, Ira, could you come down and rescue us? I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, this music sounds like, the dog died, and this one sounds So I said, okay. And I went down, and they showed me the movie with this music. And I remember thinking, oh, man. And I walked up to John, and I made my finger like a gun and put it between his eyes. And he said, yup.
Wow.
So, but then there was only 20, I had 2 weeks to write it. That was memorable. Like, here it is. I'm going to rescue this film, which, seemed good. And I had to kill myself for 2 weeks trying to figure out what was going on, what to do, and how to write it. But luckily it came out good.
Oh, it came out more than good.
Oh, it came out perfectly.
That's one of the great films.
You know what else reminded me of it? The other thing that was humorous.
What's that?
He has this tune in the movie, Oh Yeah, by Yellow.
Yes.
This is the most famous piece I never wrote. Someone said, oh, you did Ferris Bueller? Oh, I love that. Oh, yeah. I didn't write it.
You should take credit for it. Go ahead.
No way. So anyway, so I have to do a session to make up music for, like, when Shauna, his sister, was looking at Emilio Estevez, and they start this doo-wop music behind there and doo-wop music for Ducky or whatever the heck his name was in the car with the prom queen.
Right.
And so the next movie, sorry, that's 16 Candles, but on Ferris Bueller, so I'm in the studio trying to record this doo-wop music, vocal music. Next thing I know, the bass singer is suing me and Paramount Pictures because we stole his voice. He says I recorded him saying, "Oh, yeah," and then I stuck it in this music, Adeling him.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, so I'm thinking
So wait, they went after you for that?
Well, he filed a lawsuit saying I stole his voice, saying, "Oh yeah," and I told her this record is 2 years old.
They could have gone, well, wait, I mean, really, to be very honest with him, probably the Kool-Aid guy could have gone after him for that, but I mean,
so could the guy that was in Singers Unlimited and had originally sang the, Ajax jingle in 1955. He had a low voice, too.
Yeah, I mean...
But what's ridiculous is anybody who knew anything about anything could listen to that and could tell that's not a natural human voice. It's a voice pitched down.
Now, you actually, if I'm not mistaken, and I very well could be because I often am, your last collaboration, yes, your last collaboration with John Hughes, was it Uncle Buck?
Uncle Buck.
Yeah, and did you keep in touch with him through the years after?
Well, let's put it this way. I admired John Hughes' talent, and I admired his intelligence, and numerous things. I mean, I definitely admired. I thought he was really talented and very smart. There are certain aspects of life that he and I disagreed on.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
And I am much less likely to cut someone off or not talk to them because of these disagreements. Other people are not as open, shall we say, as I am to talking with people who have big differences with them involving life choices and behavior.
Well, the important thing for us as movie fans is that you guys got on like a wildfire for these films.
Your collaboration with him are classic.
The real truth is, other than certain things, I had a big kick working with him because he was really smart and really talented, and I really admired that. He wasn't just some, regular schmo. He was really smart and really talented, and it was really a pleasure. I mean, that much is a great pleasure. Someone who was constantly trying for new stuff and didn't keep, pulling up the same old garbage. He was always looking for stuff. He could write faster than anybody you ever saw.
Yeah.
And like I said, he was like a kid. He was constantly joking around, and this is very attractive to me because I think that's what you should be when you're alive.
Absolutely. Mr. Newborn, I want to thank you so much for your time today, and we both welcome you back on anytime in the future to talk about the remainder of your career. We'd love to hear about it.
But I would be remiss. Though, I didn't say all the work that you did with Mr. Hughes is just classic, but also the themes of Naked Gun movies.
Thank you.
We could not leave without saying that. That's just beautiful stuff, all of it.
I appreciate it. Well, I love music and I love movies. What can I say?
Well, you're at the right place.
And we love your work. So please come back to us in the future, sir. Thank you.
I will. Thanks.